This is Denise Matthew. Hope you're doing well. Back again for another week of the transits. It's been an interesting week. It was all individual energy for the past week. So there might have been more expression of your creativity or more expression of finding beauty in the world, or there could have been more emotional energy or more melancholy, those types of things. Whatever it looked like for you, it definitely is going to change this week going forward because we're now getting back into collective energy. Now, this is abstract collective energy. So this is more of start where you are and just kind of, I guess you could say, play it as it goes, as opposed to having a logical pattern. When we went through the gate 63, we really did need to have some sort of a pattern of where we're going to go, logical things, having meetings, appointments, setting up things that are more methodical, things that are more strategic, things that are more linear, whereas opposed to for the next couple of days or week or almost a week, we're going to be in the experience of just really jumping in and figuring out how it goes. I will talk about the new moon briefly, just because it's new energy that's going to be in play for the next 2 weeks. And so it's nice to see exactly what we could be looking at. The other thing I wanted to mention was something I don't say enough. And the message is thank you so much for being here. Thank you for listening to what I have to say. Thank you for commenting and sharing and liking and all those things. It basically, if you didn't do that, I wouldn't do what I do, because ultimately it is for you guys to hear it, to know it, to see it, to use it in your lives, and to actually have a better life because of it, by knowing yourself and understanding where you are. This really is all about you. And the more we know about ourselves, it really is magical, and it will prepare us for the future, for all the things that are changing, because ultimately we all can feel the change is coming. We can all feel that life as it was isn't coming back. We're shifting into this new reality. And I think the best part of the mandala of life experience is that experiment is that we are building a community. We are able to talk about all those human design things. We are able to see those parts of ourselves that are getting lit up every time the sun goes through a different gate. So it's lighting up those parts of who we are, and it can be lighting up just parts of places that we've never even noticed before, parts of being alive. And the more I see the energy, the more I see that every energy has its purpose. Some are just feel good energies, and some are energies that get things done, and some are energies are just about being on your own and just doing your own thing. And I think that that is all, those are all the experiences of being human, and I think that they're beautiful. Everything has its part. And I don't think there's anything more enlightening than figuring out all about yourself, because as soon as we start to figure out ourselves, that key word is there, empowerment. And it is about individual energy. Empowering ourselves leads to empowering others, just by being a better version of ourselves. Because when you're out in the world and you're feeling good about yourself, you're just spreading that energy. It's like the aura, your aura just grows and it gets better, and people can feel it. And if you're out miserable, people feel that as well. So the more we can use the energy of understanding exactly what our human design is, exactly how we operate, those little things that we do that we don't catch until we start to look and realize that there are things that we do that trip us up, things that we do that kind of pull us back from our best, being our best selves. So that's what the mandala of life is all about. And the more I get into it, the more I'm so happy that I've actually committed to this, because it is a journey. And I know that I won't be the same after it's over with, because I've already feel like I'm shifting in relationship to how much I always loved human design, but now I think I love it even more. And I've always been passionate about spreading it, but I feel it's even more. And so you might notice as the time goes on, you might notice different ways that I'm trying to communicate the energy, to communicate about human design, because I want more people out there to hear about it, to see it, to use it. The world needs more of something that's going to bring us something good in our lives. The world needs more of us to care about ourselves. And there are a lot of us out there who are just struggling just to be ourselves, just to be here, just to be in this body. But when you start to see all the beautiful things that are actually there, then you start to realize that, yeah, okay, maybe this isn't perfect or that isn't perfect, but maybe this is okay, because it's part of who I am, and accepting who you are. As the weeks go on, we're really going to get into some more definitive energy, and especially when we get into the energy of the gate 46, which is all about the love of the self, or the love of the flesh, basically is what it says. That talks to the idea of loving who we are, loving the body, because the body and soul are the same. The body and soul are connected. So when we love the body, we love the soul. So spiritual energy connects with the energy of being alive. And I'm going on a little bit of a tangent here, but ultimately, to expand your horizon, to expand your vision, to open up to something about yourself that you can see that, yeah, you know what? I'm pretty okay. I'm not perfect. I'm not the best in the world, but I'm okay. And sometimes that's all you need. Just to that one little push to say, yeah, I'm okay. I'm good with what I am, and some days I'm going to have a good day and some days I'm not going to. Having said that, let's get into the energies for the week. We just actually went through a new moon, and I'll quickly talk about the energy because, like I said, it will set us up for 2 weeks. And this is happening in the gate 36, which is the energy that we're working with. There is potential for a lot of people. Like, the one thing I've heard about a lot of people doing is that they're booking vacations, and they're booking things that they haven't been able to do for a while. So basically, a lot of people are getting into new experiences, what they want to do or where they want to go. So it's a live wire of excitement, because there's been so much of this being pinned down that everybody is ready for a change. They want something different than what they've seen already. The other thing to keep in mind is that we have Pluto going into the gate 60, line 1, which is transforming limitations. So it will be interesting to see how that works. And this is a full cycle. So the interesting thing is that if you look at this graph, you can see that the 6124 is activated. And up until the 16th of March, that will be when Pluto finally transits in the gate 60, will be the new transits. So if you notice, we go from having the 6124 defined head and ajna. This is going to cause pressure, especially if you're not used to the having a defined head and ajna, which is almost 70% of the population. This pressure to know, the pressure to understand, the pressure to try and figure things out. Finally, that's going to be relieving itself. Finally, we're going to get some reprieve from all the questions that we've had and the things that we haven't really been able to figure out. And then we move into, like I said, the 16th of March, we move into the gate 60. And then we do have the pressure from below. If you have the gate 3 or the gate 60, you might feel this energy a little bit more for certain, because if you have the gate 60 defined, especially if it's in the top 4 numbers, you're going to feel the pressure of Pluto on that energy, on whatever planet is in that particular gate for you. We are changing the pressure from this idea of trying to figure out, trying to decide what's going on, and we're moving into the limitation. I mean, the reason why I'm talking about it, like, usually I leave Pluto to the end, but I just want to talk about it in the beginning because it is such an important energy shift that, like Ra Uru said, always said, was as soon as Pluto went through any gate, it never left the gate the same afterwards, literally. And we know that Pluto is all about transformation. It is about death and rebirth. It is about the phoenix rising. It is a very powerful and pivotal energy that shifts realities. And it hasn't been in this spot since probably around the same time is like when Uranus was actually discovered. Just before Uranus was discovered, this was when Pluto was in the spot last time. So it's been a very long time. So it's a huge time in our history that we're literally finishing a cycle. So if we look at the mandala here, we can see that the gate 60 is right at the top. Just circled it for you. So ultimately, that is the ending of a cycle. And the beginning will be the gate 41. The beginning is 2027 or thereabouts. So this is really a pivotal time in our cycle of humanity in global cycles. This is exactly what, if you're looking at the prophecy of there was always this comment about 2027 being so big, transformative time. It is all related to the cycle of Pluto. So now that it's finally sort of making its last pass through the gate 60, which again hasn't been in here since the 1780s, we're talking about a huge transformational time of our lives that we are being seeded because Pluto does seed everything that it transforms. Ultimately, when we talk about Pluto, you can imagine it's a house, a hurricane comes in, blows the house down. All that's left is a foundation, and you rebuild from the foundation. But what you rebuild is always going to be stronger than what was there before. And that's what this is all about. When we see that Pluto is moving to the gate 60 in the line 1, the one thing we can say is every time we get to the first line of any energy, it's always a foundation. This is what you would say that is the epitome of the energy. It is where you're sort of learning about the energy, figuring out what the energy is all about. So when we get into the gate 60 line 1, we're talking about what exactly is limitation? What exactly is this whole concept of what it means to be limited when we're talking about human design? Limitation is probably one of the words that gets the worst raps around. If you talk to anybody about the, limitation, or you have some limits, they always get frustrated. But the reality is that we have limitations, and they're for a reason. When we talk about the limitations of the gate 60, and I talked a lot about this actually last year, 2020, but the one thing that the gate 60 is all about is it is the gate 60 is basically the ability to get into a level of transcendence, and that's what it was talked about. The Ravi Ching talks about transcendence through the gate 60, through the limitations. When the limitations are accepted for what they are, instead of raging against them and saying, I can't cope with these, I can't do this anymore, you transcend that energy. And it's like life gives you, the universe levels you up. The universe says, okay, you're okay with what we're giving you, so let's give you something bigger. So that's what I always say, that the limitations are there to show you that you can actually transcend the limitations, as in you can become so okay with them that they no longer feel like limitations to you. And when that happens is when life shifts. So when we get to Pluto going to the gate 60 in the line 1, we're talking about this basic homegrown feeling of exactly what that means. What are the limitations that we feel? What are they trying to teach us? Can we transcend them? Can we transform them into something that we're okay with? And as soon as we do, then can we as soon as we do, are we going to be rewarded? Is there potential for to be rewarded? This is also the gate 60 is individual energy. So this is mutative energy. This is where, like I said, the seed is being sown to figure out if we can adopt what it is. Can we take this new thing that we're bringing through, with that Pluto's bringing through, and make it part of humanity, make it part of the collective energy? Because all energies have to work together. There's three energies, and I talked about those last week, about the three energies and how they all sort of link in together. That the gate 60 is individual, and the key word for the gate 60, or not for the gate 60, but the key word for individual energy is always going to be about empower yourself to empower others. When I feel good about myself, others feel good around me, and when others feel good around me, the energy just spreads. And that's ultimately what all individual energy is all about. There is going to be some level of melancholy in this energy, and that's a one thing we have to keep in mind too. Pluto's going in there, it's going to activate some level of melancholy in the collective, in the world, in the global energy. But what it can also activate is creativity, this ability to channel that melancholy into something that makes you feel good. So we work with this gate 60, and let's go into the transits for this week of the sun and how they can all sort of link in. So we know that we're now in the gate 36, and that's going to be until March 19th. So the gate 36 is all about this jumping in. Let's get something new. Let's have a new experience. Let's try something new. This is like an all you can eat buffet, and you want to try everything on the all you can eat buffet. That's what it feels like. This can be energy that can be difficult to carry sometimes, because sometimes the enthusiasm to jump into these brand new things can be so much so that when you're younger, you just jump into anything. So I have a son who has this energy, and there's a lot of projects that he started and done once and said, yeah, that's it, I've discovered what I wanted from that, and I move on. We have power tools. We have, like, his latest things that he was learning was woodworking, which he went out and bought a bunch of wood and built something, and then he's like, yeah, I'm done, I don't never need to do woodworking again. Now from the outside looking in, you could look at this and you could say, oh well, that person, that kid has no ability to stick with anything. They're just jumping from one thing to another. They're and that's not accepted very well by us, like humanity. We don't like people that pick up something and let it go. But that's what this energy is all about. And if we didn't have people who did these kind of things, we wouldn't discover all the things that we need to know, all the things that we do discover as humans to figure out, oh, well, this doesn't work or this does work. I really have to say, I equate this energy a lot to the third line, or the third line in the profile, that it is this experimentation. It is, like I say, experimentation, it is abstract energy. So we're always talking about an experience, but it is an experimentation of an experience, jumping into things, brand new things that you've never tried before. Let's figure it out. Let's decide, is this something that I want to keep doing? This isn't somebody, like, this is where you try it out, but it doesn't necessarily mean you stick with it. And that's okay, because that's what this energy is all about. As long as you're using your strategy, whatever that is, to decide what experiences you're going to pick. Because if you're not using your strategy, and so for instance, you're emotionally defined, and somebody, there's something that shows up and they say, oh, let's do a video for YouTube where we're, standing on the back of a car and we'll drive really fast down the road. And yeah, you could do that. There's always potentially repercussions to that energy if you do that. I'm not saying that that's going to happen with this energy, but there's always potential for you to get so wrapped up in this energy, especially when you're younger, and just want to get in there and do it. But like I said, there's a tremendous amount of purpose in this energy. And I think that if there's anything that can be said, is that we're not always appreciative of the abstract collective energy as much as we are about the logic. The logic is pattern, the logic is linear, the logic is predictable. We know that we could do, A plus B equals C. We know that. But again, when we get to this, we see that this is not as predictable. We don't know what we're going to get. And there can be, that's what it's called, a crisis. There can be a crisis that comes out of inexperience. So anybody who doesn't know how to do something, it's got a pretty good potential to make mistakes, but that's okay. That's what it's all about. It's about making mistakes. It's about understanding. But again, this is why we use our strategy, so we can mitigate those things that might come up. So you're open to the new experiences, but yet you're also open to the idea that you're picking the experiences that are hopefully going to pay off, or they have the best chance, or based on what you think, of paying off, or you're using your strategy to pick what works for you, and not just grabbing onto every little thing that kind of seems okay, and then afterwards you discover it wasn't really worth your time and effort. So if you're pulling into your life the things and experiences that are actually going to have some value to you, that you've actually thought about and said, yeah, I'm going to give this a try, and if it doesn't work out, I'm okay with it, because at least I know what I'm getting into, at least I've planned for it, and those types of things. You don't always know what you're getting into, because that's the nature of inexperience, because nobody really knows what they're going to get into with a lot of these things. It isn't logical energy. But again, if you're using your strategy, your chances of being more correct with it are much better. And if you have this energy and you have felt that it's been a difficult journey for you, please check out that video I made, because it really does explain this energy, and also share it with anybody that you think might, benefit from it, as in they need to know more about themselves, about if they have that energy, but also if they have family or friends, so that they can understand the energy, so that they can know that that's actually how it works. And it's not like you're just jumping and quitting and doing all these things, that you actually do have there is a lot of value to what you're doing, and to remember that. March 19th, the sun is moving into the gate 25. And I think that there's going to be a lot to unpack with this. And as like next week, and with the new video that I'm going to be bringing out the fall next week. So, I'll just touch on it for now, but I will talk about it in more detail next week. This is the alpha and omega of like, there's so many different like spots of the mandala, but this is what we call the alpha and the omega, and that's what Ra Uru called it. So let's talk about what that means. So if you look at the gate 25, is between Pisces and Aries. Now, usually in human design, there's not a big emphasis on the actual astrology of things, but I like to add it in because I think it gives an added dimension of exactly what we're talking about. The gate 25 straddles two signs. It straddles between Pisces and Aries. So what that means is that if you look at the astrological calendar year, it begins again in Aries season. So that's exactly what this energy is all about. Between the end of the cycle, which is Pisces, that's the end of the astrological year, and then we start with a brand new astrological year, the I am. So this is about the I am. So if you think about the gate 25, it straddles between the I am, which is Aries, and the Pisces, which is more of a watery energy, or a collective energy that basically talks about this melding into one another. So it's more of a dreamy energy. And our last moon that we just had, the new moon that what I just talked about, is a Pisces new moon. So this is about the connection between the all of us together are connected, we're all one, and then we get into the I am. So you can think that there is the alpha, which is the beginning, and then the end, and that's where the alpha and the omega come from when we talk about this gate 25, which is innocence. And so what how we look at it, the mandala, as we're going through the mandala of life, we can see that the gate 36 is where we experience, and we can have this ability to have some level of crisis, and then we move into the gate 25, which is where we become innocent again. We a return to innocence, where we start all over again. Now this is all about the self. This is called the spirit of self. This is about some the love of spirit. So there's a lot of love. Anything that's related to the this comes from the G center, is related to love of self, and love and love in general. So this can be about when we look at this image, we see a light, and this is an illumination. So what this says is that we all go through a lot of pain and suffering in the world and life, and that's just part of life. Our lives are not only pain and suffering. There's also times of joy, and all those other parts of how it is to be, what it is to be human. The one thing that we always know is that eventually that suffering ends, and then we start to go in a different direction, and we'll reach joy, and then we'll go back to suffering it, and that's how it goes. So in other words, what this says is that we have to walk through the suffering in order to get to the cool pond of life. So I would say that we have to walk through the fires of suffering to get back to the innocence, to get back to that feeling where finally we're out of it and we're on to something better. So what gets you through that is your spirit. It's the spirit within you, the love of who I am. It's I'm worthwhile getting to the other side so that I can start to feel good again. And that's kind of what this energy is about. And you have to remember, it's also connected to the gate 51, which is a shattering experience. This is half of the channel of the shaman, which is about having life changing experiences that shift you in a way that you'll never ever be the same again, and that a lot of spiritual awakenings can happen with this energy too. As I said, I will get deeper into it next week, but for now that's all I'll say about it. And right now the earth is in the gate 6, and this is all about tribal energy. This can be about trying to resolve issues with people. This is the part of the tribal energy of the 59-6. This is a part that takes care of the family no matter what. This is the part that will go out and take care and do a job that maybe they don't like because they need to take care of their tribe. This is about working for your family. This is about trying to see other people's point of view, coming to some sort of a consensus of what exactly is happening. So if we look at the 59, I mean, there is always going to be that sexual energy between the 59-6. I mean, that's a whole mating channel, but there is that level of, breaking barriers, as well as, finding our commonalities. So this could be trying to see more of the commonalities, trying to discover how we're more alike than as opposed to how we're different. And I think that, that's sort of a theme that's starting to show up again, where it's all about trying to get more equality. A lot of things are showing up in the collective right now that are saying that we need to start getting more equal rights for everybody. Everybody needs to be represented, and that type of thing. And so this could be part of that. Right now we're all grounded in it. This is what we're receiving resolutions to things. This could also be on the shadow side, just pushing your agenda just to get your way type of thing, because there is as much as there is about resolution and resolving conflicts and trying to trying to come together to get rid of disputes and that type of thing. There is this ability to make disputes, to have conflicts, to push your agenda to get what you want to get. This is tribal energy. This is, I'm going to protect my family at all costs. This is where we have war and peace. This is where we have potentially going to fight for your family, your tribe, for the people that you love. So those are the types of themes that this could be showing up as, that we could be seeing as the week goes on. March 19th, we're going into the gate 46, which is serendipity. And again, this is a very spiritual kind of energy, in that there is that connection between the body and the soul. When you do carry this energy, the really cool thing about this is that it can be a lucky energy. With the earth transiting here, we might hear more about body and soul type of things, more mind body types of things, more some people do yoga, some people, it really is about this connection with the body and body acceptance. It can be those types of things. We're talking about how we're caring for the body as much as we're caring for the spirit. I mean, there is a definite connection between these two. This could be about being in the right place at the right time. When I talk about serendipity or synchronicity, it is about being in the right time, in the right place at the right time. And the thing about this energy is that if you carry it, especially, you really do have to feel good with your body, because that has a deep impact on you more than the average person. If you don't feel good about yourself in your body and those types of things, like I find a lot of people who have this energy are into some sort of way of moving the body. They're into caring for the body. I've seen a lot of people who have their Reiki masters, or their yoga um, like instructors, or yoga is a big part of their life, or something that can sort of connects the mind and body. They like to be physical, they like to do sports, they like to move the body, and that's really important for them, to feel good about their body and to feel good about how they look. And that doesn't mean that they have to look a certain way. It is more about, if you have it, if you feel good with how you look, then that's perfectly fine. If you do something that makes you feel good, even if it's not the consensus of the world, but you feel it's good for you, then that's okay. That's how this energy works. So this week we might just be seeing more of this ability to where people are just trying to say, okay, I need to get more in touch with all parts of myself. Maybe I need to get more physical. It's spring coming, and maybe I want to go for more walks, so I can sort of feed my body and also feed my soul, because I'm out in the fresh air. I'm doing things that are good for my body, but I'm also doing good things that are good for my soul, because when my body feels good, my soul feels good. And Venus is now in the gate 36. Venus is caught up to the sun, so you'll see that the energies are going to be mingling quite a bit together, because they are sort of like lined side by side. So if we're looking at Venus, we're talking about new experiences, jumping into new things, wanting to have some more liveliness in your life. This is all about those Venusian things. It's all about good food, good movies, good sex, good anything that feels good. It could be about getting facials, it could be about going out and having a spa. It could be about, like I said, anything that is Venusian, or like things that we do to make us feel good. This could be we could see women in the world doing things that we hadn't expected, new experiences that maybe women don't normally have. So doing things that they're not known for. The boredom of not being able to do a lot of things over the long time. Like the one thing I do notice is like I said before, is that a lot of people are booking tickets to go on trips and those types of things. And I think that that's a big theme of you finally breaking away from just always being limited, to start to want to move and go somewhere else and do something different. And on March 20th, the Venus is going into the gate 25. Again, the same spirit. We could also see, when we're talking about just women in general, or the Venusian aspect of things, or the Venusian thing. So maybe we could say that we could have a return to innocence, but we could also look at the other perspective of it, um, where this could be also falling from grace. So are some women going to fall from grace? Are some women going to be seen as, maybe they're not maybe they're not saying they're not exactly who they said they were. Maybe there's something that's coming up that shows that maybe they're not necessarily saying or doing, or the tides are shifting in some way. Or on the other hand, some women who are were considered guilty, but now they're being considered innocent. And we're seeing that they're different than, and maybe we had a perspective of who we thought they were, and who maybe it's going to shift, and there's going to be something different in how they're perceived this week. Right now, Mercury's in the gate 55, and the gate 55 is all about the abundance of spirit. This is when we're talking about Mercury, we're always talking about what we see in the media, what we see in the news, what people are talking about, the communication. And this is all about, we could see more talk about the spirituality and surrendering, and this idea that we are supported by something bigger than ourselves. So maybe there's going to be more spiritual conversations about these types of things. There is potential to be talking about the melancholy, or the people talking about feeling down, not feeling good. And like, there's always the high side to the gate 55, but the other side is that you are feeling like there's not enough. You are feeling like you're lacking, and there is some level of hoarding. So maybe people are taking, when we look at this hoarding thing, there was something I read, and I'm just paraphrasing, and it was just something about if a chimpanzee was in a colony of other chimpanzees, and he was taking all the bananas, and he was eating all the bananas, and he wasn't sharing with the rest of his group. This scientists would study them to figure out what's wrong with that chimpanzee. And yet we put anybody who is like a multi-billionaire on the cover of Forbes magazine. So this is kind of what we could be talking about, this hoarding of money, this hoarding of how much wealth we have in the world, and how few people have that, and how many people need and don't get that. And that could be, this whole thing about seeing the way that so few people are holding all the resources, and then you have the rest of the world who you basically have the other half. So you'd be interesting to see if we hear about that. March 20th, we get into the gate 37, which is all about family energy, getting together, tribal energy, your community. So this could be about just talking about more communities opening up, more communities getting together, more connection, more family time, because a lot of people are having vaccinations. It's getting to be more people are getting vaccinated than not. And so maybe this will start to be where things are starting to open up. I know some places have already opened up fully, and some are still slowly opening up. So maybe there's going to be more talk about actually getting back together again in a physical way, as opposed to a virtual way. Mars remains in the gate 16, and this is the enthusiasm, and this so we move to Mars, which is about aggressive, very quick, very fast. I need to get some things done. It's about me. What do I need? I want stuff, and this is enthusiastically getting what you want for yourself. This is enthusiastically, as I said, getting skills, those types of things. And we're going to continue on with that energy until the 25th of March, and after that it will move on. But it is about experimenting. So we look at the gate 36 and Venus and in the sun, and we see that we're trying to get new experiences, trying to liven up the our lives, trying to experience a lot more things than we have been, trying to get more things that we have never tried before. Add that to the Mars energy, and then we have this trying to get a lot of different new skills, new experiences with skills, new things that you haven't tried before. So maybe you, like I said, you've never done or roller skating before, and now you want to try and roller skate. And so it's about picking up the roller skating and trying it out. Now, when we get to the gate 16, that's on the logic side. So this is more where you're trying to build up a mastery. This gate 16 isn't about mastery. The 48 and the 16 will be the full line, which is the channel of talent. And this really talks to the idea that you've taken the abstract energy of the 35 36. That's the abstract side, where you're just trying an experience and seeing if you like it or not, and then you pull it over to the 1648, which is considered the mirror, which is where you start to hone in and start to get the mastery and decide, yes, I want to do that. So this could be about figuring out things that potentially you want to stick with or not. it really is about figuring out what the skills are, and yes, you might stick with it or you might not, but there is this enthusiasm to try new things. So I think if there's one theme that we can say the most is that there is going to be a lot of let's get into something new. Let's jump in and do something different. Let's do stuff we haven't done before. Let's do stuff that we always wanted to do, and let's actually finally get out into the world and start doing it. And I think that this is where we actually are starting to, instead of always staying back in the in and in the virtual world, we're actually stepping out into the world, and we're actively doing different things that we haven't done in a long while. Having said that, we do have Pluto going into the gate 60. I'll be interested to see, is it going to be this concept of I want to get out there, I want to do this, I really want to get more experiences, I want to get out and live life and do the things I haven't done in a million years, it feels like. And then the limits are saying no, you can't actually do that. We have a few limits still here, it's not all gone yet. And so this concept of trying to bypass the reality of what exactly, like, maybe we're slowly, things are slowly, it's like the concept that you see, you plant a seed and you see that little green sprout coming through and you go, oh wow, before you know it, next week I'll be able to pick beans off that, I mean, that's reality. It's not going to be that quick. So but this might be the energy, is you start to see something sprout and you think, okay, well, yeah, this is everything I've wanted, I'm going to be able to do whatever I want. So let's see how that works out, if it is a push pull, which is potential by the sounds of it. And Jupiter is in the line 2 and line 3 of the gate 49. 49 again is a revolution, changing, trying to change a status quo, trying to push against the status quo, trying to get the tribe taken care of, that type of thing. And this is because we also have Saturn in the gate 19. This is emotional energy. There's more emotion in the air because of this energy, because of this push pull between the gate 19 and the 49, because like I said, Saturn is about the limitations and Jupiter's about let's just expand, let's keep going. The line 2 is all about projecting this idea of rebellion, projecting this idea of let's move forward, let's change things, let's get get rid of the man so we can take over and do what we need to do to get the things we want to get done. But again, everything has to be done in a way that you're going to get the best out of the revolution, because if you go out and you just hot-headedly decide that you're just going to push against the system and you don't really have a plan or a way of doing it, most times it just doesn't work out the way you're going to. So this is about knowing when to push and when to pull back and those types of things. And when you get to the third line, you're looking at the people that you have that are with you to push your changes into the world, to get the tribe taken care of, to get the people get taken care of, to to support the people. But you're also looking at them and saying, okay, who is actually here for the real reasons? Who is here that's actually going to be benefit, and who is here that's just kind of here to, they're not doing anything for our cause. And that's kind of weeding out the people that are not going to help in the cause, and then a decision of who stays and who goes, and who is supporting me and who isn't supporting me. And that's the kind of energy we're talking about when we're looking at that. And this could be about looking at politicians in the world and saying, or laws, because Jupiter can be related to laws and those two things. And I would just say politicians as well, looking at the politicians and saying, okay, who is actually doing something for us and who needs to go? Because they're just not doing anything, they're not the right fit, and they're not pushing the cause for the people in the way that we want them to. So their time has sort of come to an end. And like I said, Saturn remains in the gate 19, and it's going to be in line 3 and line 4. Line 3 is also against this idea of deciding, just like with the rebellion side of it, who's actually going to stick around, who am I going to support and who am I going to not support. This is, you're throwing your support to somebody who is actually going to bring value to the table, and if they're not bringing value to the table, then you're just going to let them go. The when we get to the line 4, this is a specific way of, it's a fixedness, it's using sticking with your plan, sticking the way you support people, the way you're helping the rebellion, staying to the plan so that things can get done. So there can be some level of more of a foundation. And it is also where you come out of just seeing it through your eyes and you're looking at it through other people's eyes, or more of a an us instead of a figuring out how what it means to me. And now it's figuring out what it means to all of us, and how we're all going to work together to make these changes happen. The sensitivity is this is all about the tribe and about supporting people and people getting the support that they need. And I don't then that's not going away anytime soon. I mean, as long as you have Saturn and Jupiter in these energies, you're going to have this emotional energy that really is talking about let's take care of the people, because that's first and foremost. And it is emotional. Nodes are remaining the same in 35 and 5. We talked a lot about those. When we get to the line 3, it's always some level of experimentation. Well, the gate 35 is is the connector to the 36. So we know that with the sun going through the gate 36, we're going to have a full channel. This could be a potential to have some level of manifestation happening, because we do have the solar plexus going right to the throat. So this is, getting a lot of energy to the throat. And because of that, there is potential for manifestation. But the 3536 is called the channel of transitoriness, and it is the channel of expectation. So are we having bigger expectations about what's going to show up in our reality, about the things that we're expecting to happen? And could we be disappointed because we are expecting too much? Sometimes expectation is one of those things that can really get us the most disappointed, because we have this concept and perspective of exactly how we expect things to look, and they don't look like that. And then even though we might have been okay with it, had we not sort of thought about how we wanted it to look and how we expected it to turn out, it becomes more of a thing because we have those expectations. And I think that because, again, we're looking back to the whole idea of being locked up and cooped up for a year in 2020, and then people are expecting, oh my gosh, this experience is going to be great. I'm going to be able to do this and that and the other thing. And maybe it will not live up to that expectation. Instead, look at it. So in order to mitigate that perspective of this over expectation of what you're going to get out of everything, to be open to what you receive, to look at it and say, okay, I am going to get an experience, and ultimately be okay with what you get, because that's what you get. Or the other perspective is always remember that the journey is as much as important as the actual destination. And that's the most important thing with 35, 36, any of those energies, to remember that that's just as important as getting to the finish line. The actual race is really where you get all the energy, where you have that feeling of, okay, I'm doing something different, I'm experiencing something. And so we get so hooked up on the actual getting to the end that we forget that there's something in between, that we bypass it, and then afterwards it's done, and there's always going to be some level of deflation after it's done. And then you go, well, what do I have to show for it? I didn't really pay attention. So you go to a rock concert, and you're basically only looking at it through your phone, because you want to record the whole thing, and then you don't really experience it. Like they say, that you actually don't experience it as fully as you would had you just put your phone in your pocket, took a couple pictures here and there, and but experience the rest of it just with your own eyes, watching it in a real way, as opposed to through a phone. I mean, that's an actual perspective that they've said, is you lose out on the experience, you lose out on the value of it, because you have put that thing in between you and the experience ultimately. Gate 5 is also about experimenting. When we get to line 3, it's experimenting with patients. How can I shift it? Experimenting with changing your routines, experimenting with uh how you wait for things to happen. Can you wait for things to happen? Maybe you're used to always getting upset because things aren't moving fast enough, and suddenly you're saying, okay, let me just see if I can pedal back on that, and see that maybe if I am less focused on something happening, and I start to work on something else, and that's when other things will just show up, and it'll surprise you because you're actually changing your routine. So you could be experimenting with that. And that's it for the transits. I hope you enjoy them. I'll be back again next week, and I hope you have a super week. Take care. Bye for now.